everyone, welcome to this round of Chitter Chatter. Well, firstly, let me tell you all, today is World Plastic Surgery Day. Yes, this day has been celebrated as National Plastic Surgery Day for the last 10 years. And this year, it's gonna be known as the World Plastic Surgery Day. And we have with us for this chit chat Dr. Anil Tibrewala. He is one of the most sought after cosmetic surgeons in India, and he's been practicing since 1989 and is associated with a lot of hospitals such as Sir H.N. Reliance Foundation Hospital, P.D. Hinduja Hospital, Breach Candy Hospital, Sefi Hospital, and right now we're going to chit chat with him and know a lot about plastic surgery and also the myths. Thank you for sending in your questions, and I'm all excited to chit chat with him. So let's send him a request. By the way, it's his debut live and we are going live, and I have sent him pouring in your hearts your questions, just the way you all pour in the questions the moment I put in the story. And I'm so happy to have him today on our Chitter Chatter to answer all our queries about plastic surgery and about this day today. I've sent him a request, but why can't I see the request gone? So I'll send him a request again. And I am sending him a request again. Here I send him the request. Manoj Gaud 199. Hello, Sonal Batija. Hello, Rejuvenata Jewels. Bharat Mughal. Hello. Honey Baron. Hello. And I have sent Sir a request. He should be here any moment. But by the time he comes, let me tell you all that I have a lot of questions that you all have sent in, and I have noted all of it, and I'm going to ask him. But besides that, if you all have any more questions and if he can cover it, you are most free to send them to us now while I chat. And if we can't cover it right now, maybe you can DM us later. Also, this chat is going to be saved on our IGTV. So if you want any of your friends to watch it, please do tag him after we save it on our IGTV. And I don't know why Sir is not here. I'm sending him a request again. I hope this time the net supports us and our live gets started. This is the thing with internet. It's all about divine timing. No matter how prepared we are, the Insta always acts funny. And here is Sir. Hello, Sir. Welcome on Chitter Chatter.
Hi. This is the first time I'm doing this, so I brushed my teeth, I'm powdered and puffed and perfumed and ready.
I'm also all ready.
Go ahead.
The first thing
Yep.
you're going to do is unknowingly see my face. I'm pretty nervous and I hope I'm looking good.
You're looking great. You're looking absolutely smashing.
Thank you, Doctor. And welcome on our Chitter Chatter. We have a lot of questions for you, but first, you're a very happy World Plastic Surgery Day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And we would like you to introduce our audience about World Plastic Surgery Day, that how it's been practiced since 10 years as National Plastic Surgery Day, but this year it's known as the World Plastic Surgery Day. So something about it to our audience.
Yeah. So basically, it's being celebrated since the last 10 years, but this year we've decided to do it as a World Plastic Surgery Day. This was started by one of our colleagues who practices and who has a roaring practice in South India in Coimbatore. And so, yeah, he's the one who sort of started it, and now it's being celebrated everywhere, all over India. And I'm very happy that today, I mean, there were tons and tons of people who wished me, which means that the awareness for plastic surgery is becoming greater. You know, I mean, more and more people are realizing that there is something like, you know, besides a Brothers' Day and a Rose Day and everything else, there's also a World Plastic Surgery Day.
So I have to tell the viewers here, though all of them, majority of them know, but the ones who have the chat, that Sir is in the Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons, which is for Mumbai, Navi Mumbai and Thane. He's the president of the association, and that's why today he's going to answer all our queries about plastic surgery and the myths that might just get busted. So be ready, people. So my first question, what is the difference between plastic surgery, aesthetic surgery and cosmetic surgery?
So plastic surgery was a sort of a specialty. It's a generic term for the specialty, which includes things like, birth diseases, injuries, burns, post-cancer reconstructions, microsurgery, hand surgery. Everything is included in plastic surgery. Cosmetic surgery was a term which was given to sort of body beautification surgery maybe about 100 years ago. But now I like to think of aesthetic surgery as cosmetic surgery that is being performed by a qualified plastic surgeon. And that is the reason we founded the Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons, uh, because these are all qualified plastic surgeons who are devoting their time predominantly, I would say more than 90% of their time is devoted to what was originally known as cosmetic surgery. Why do I say originally? Because there are a lot of people from other specialties as well who sort of go abroad, they get a little bit of training, they come back, and then they start practicing uh, our work, so to speak. And in the Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons, even with this lockdown, we have had maybe 25 or 30 world authorities taking Zoom classes for us, teaching us, and these are all plastic surgeons who pick up these things. So aesthetic surgery is basically cosmetic surgery, but done by a qualified and well-trained plastic surgeon, because he knows the finer aspects. He knows how to do things with finesse.
So does plastic surgery really involve the use of plastic during surgery? I know this is very something.
Yeah, yeah. There is that joke about the guy who goes to the plastic surgeon who then quotes him quite a price, and so he says कि मैं प्लास्टिक लेके आऊंगा आप सिर्फ मजदूरी बोलो kind of thing. So no, yeah, we do use plastic called silicone. It is used in all parts of the body, including well known for its use in the breasts, but otherwise we use it on all parts of the body. It is used on the nose. It is used on the, to augment the cheekbones. Plastic is available for formation of ear if that has been injured or had to be removed as part of disease. There are plastic threads that are available to give a little facelift. And of course, the most famous is the use of breast implants. Yeah.
What is the scope of plastic surgery?
See, it's plastic surgery, really speaking, from head to toe. We have people asking for hair transplants. We have people who come for, to have their brow lifted. People who want eyelid surgery. People who want nose jobs, of course. There are people who want facelift. There are people who want chin implants, breast augmentation, breast reduction, breast lift, tummy tucks. The massive weight loss patients who come with, what we call bye-bye arms because their upper arms are swinging a lot. So it's literally from head to toe. There is a scope for plastic surgery somewhere right from the head right down to the toes.
A lot of people feel like there are a lot of scars after plastic surgery. Some people think there are no scars. So, what is the whole thing? Like, still are people having scars after plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery? What is the myth? What is it actually like?
Yeah, so what happens is that once the skin is cut and stitched, there is going to be a scar. It is impossible for us not to have a scar, but a plastic surgeon would take care to place that scar in what we call a line of minimum tension, so that it finally becomes the least possible visibility that is possible with that particular scar in that why should we have a scar at all? There are so many film stars who get plastic surgery done, but we don't ever see their scars. So when we talk of celebrities, of course, celebrities don't step out of their bedroom without having makeup and covering whatever evidence there might be of having had any plastic surgery. But yes, so without scars, it is not possible to do any kind of surgery. The only thing is that a plastic surgeon, and especially an aesthetic surgeon, would take great care to place that scar in a place where it is least likely to be noticed. For example, when we do a facelift, I mean, the scar is placed very close to the upper end of the ear. Then it goes behind this little nubbin, which is called the tragus. Then it comes again over here, and then it turns and goes behind behind the ear. Or if we are doing like a eyelid bag removal, then the scar would be placed so close to the lashes that it's just not sort of discernible from the normal, the minimal lines that we all have. So yeah, that's basically the thing. But yeah, I would like to dispel this notion that it is possible to do plastic surgery without any scars at all.
But like you said, that it's taken care of so that it's minimalistic or not seen. With good makeup, can it?
Yes.
Because the fact even today is everyone wants to do it, but they want it to be so natural that nobody comes to know that you've done it.
Exactly. And that is what an aesthetic surgeon would do, in the sense that he would assess you properly to make sure that the procedure that you're asking for is not going to look outlandish on you. And they try and place it, like I said, in a place where, I mean, they would do it with the least possible invasive techniques. Scars, for example, also, even if he has to produce a scar, there are ways and means of lightening scars with the use of lasers, with the use of certain kinds of injections. And so, yeah, that's what an aesthetic surgeon would do, that he would definitely try and make sure that the scar becomes the least possible visible.
I'm sure in your line you must have, since you're practicing since 1989, you've met all the kinds of people, different patients and all. Have people ever come up to you and been like, okay, I want to look exactly like this. What can I do?
Yes, there are. I mean, in fact, I think the most well-known example of this is Michael Jackson, who wanted ostensibly to end up looking like Diana Ross, and he did all that he could, to try and. So when it is an unreal request like that, it is up to the aesthetic surgeon to try and make out what is the motivation of this person. Why is he asking me such a funny question? It is an odd question. It is something which would immediately get your antenna up. Somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, I want to look like this photograph." It all our trained plastic surgeons would immediately use that as a way of knowing that, okay, here, if I just get into this surgery, I'm likely to land up in trouble. So we do get requests like that. And the commonest, of course, is when patients come to us saying that I would like to have my nose surgery done, but I would like a nose like this. Then you have to try and explain to them that you cannot make tea out of coffee. So you have to have something which can be surgically modified by me, so that I will be able to give you, or at least come close to what you have in your mind. Because when there is a discrepancy between what the patient has in their mind and what the surgeon finally delivers, that is when all the unhappiness and the litigation and all kinds of symptoms will start to arise, and they become basically almost present in your clinic every single day, or every other day they'll be there with some funny symptoms like, I've got a headache, I never had it before my surgery, or I'm having hair loss, but I never had it before my surgery. So then they start blaming the doctor and his surgery for whatever losses they may have had in life, including, losing a partner, losing a friend, or not getting enough work in their whatever they're doing. Everything becomes the doctor's responsibility.
What is the biggest motivation in your experience to get plastic surgery?
To get plastic surgery done? To get plastic surgery done, I
Yes.
think very often, I think the patient who comes to us has been harboring this desire for a very, very long time. And funnily enough, now with this Zoom meetings and Zoom classes and everything is being done on, virtual meetings, virtual this and that. And the phone cameras and the cameras on other devices are not that accurate, so uh, they may make your nose tip look a little broader. They may give you that has to come forward and ask to make requests for surgery. And one has to be extremely cautious and realize that it's not every patient who can be put onto the operating table. You really have to be very careful when you are dealing with these patients who come up with requests. And I've had I would say in the last even in the last month, I've had at least 3 really young 18, 19-year-old girls having come to me fully motivated, so it could be something as simple as as the way you look on a selfie, and it could be something that you have been harboring. Like we get all our plastic surgeons would get patients, let's say a young girl who's got smaller sized breasts and she wants to have bigger breasts, and then because of education and then work and then family and this and other responsibilities, they're not able to have it. Now they get married, they've had their kids, the kids are in school, everything is going well. Then they will turn up at your doorstep and they'll say, I've always wanted to have bigger breasts, or I've always wanted to have my tip corrected, or I've always thought that, my ears are too protruding. And then, so it could be something so minimal as a video call, and it could be something as serious as, some desire that you've been harboring for 15, 20 years in your mind. Anything could motivate you. Teasing in school, bullying, body shaming, all these things are, possible reasons for motivating a person to get plastic surgery done.
Earlier, doctor, it was a myth that plastic surgery is only glamorized people because they are in front of the camera. But like you just brought it to our notice, today everybody is front of the camera because of the selfies, because of the Zoom. So what's it been like have laymen and housewives, like you just mentioned, they're coming up to you, students. What is the percentage suddenly? Like, is it like everybody wants to look better or the scope of plastic surgeries increase? What is it like today?
So it's not that everybody who wants to look better, but there are more and more people coming forward and having it done. People from even very, very modest circumstances will come and at least make the request. And I've had people from like a panwala. I've had a panwala come to me saying that, I want my nose, I don't like my nose, I want to change it, I want to make it smaller, I feel my nostrils are very flared, etc., etc. So, it's and then when you tell them that, okay, you might end up spending this much money, there are people, they will come back to you. They'll say, okay, well, I don't have it now, but I will come back to you when I've collected enough money. And they do.
Wow.
So it's right across the board. I mean, the number of people who are coming forward. And now what is happening is everybody's got a smartphone. Everybody can take pictures. So it's very dangerous for the real celebrities to come into, a hospital and have anything done. So they would prefer to go abroad and have it done, or then to go to somebody's private clinic and have procedures done. But very, very rarely would a real big time celebrity come into a corporate hospital to have things done to them, It's aesthetic surgery.
Since now we have a panwala, do we have students for aesthetic surgery? What is the limit for customers?
Sorry, I beg your pardon?
I said today we have even a panwala who wants to get an aesthetic surgery. And we have students.
Yeah.
So what is the age limit for cosmetic surgery?
No, there is no age limit because, like I said, we do not generally offer aesthetic surgery before the age of 18 or 19 because we feel that the body parts are still growing. So we do not encourage them to have it unless we notice that it is playing very heavily. For example, young boys with gynecomastia. Now, gynecomastia is commonly known as man boobs. So, I mean, they get teased, they get molested, they get hammered in school, absolutely. And some of them really, as a matter of fact, they get molested, you know. So, when it comes to that, then of course we are there to help them. But otherwise, if it is just, if we perceive that it is just something which we might be able to put off till the child is fully grown, then we would not do it before 18 or 19 years. That is the lower limit. Upper limit, the sky is the limit, because all rejuvenating surgery is all for people who are well into their 60s and 70s. You know, I mean, a facelift. Although now even younger and younger people are coming forward to have, you know, facial rejuvenation done. People are becoming more fit now because more and more people are exercising. So they want, if they've lost all the weight, but they have a little bit of excess on in what we call the love handles, then they would like to have the access to, and we do give it to them. We do give it to them as aesthetic surgeons to give them the access to plastic surgery. But like I said, facial rejuvenation essentially would be, you know, 60s and 70s, sometimes even 80s. So there is no age bind, provided they are medically fit to withstand the surgery. Some of these surgeries can be pretty long. They can be 3 and 4 hours long. So if they are going to withstand going under the knife or some longish surgery, then it's best that they are at least investigated fully to make sure that that the anesthesia, that the procedure or whatever little blood loss may be there, that their body is able to withstand that.
So, like you said, you know, the face rejuvenation is not only for elders right now, even youngsters are coming up. There are a lot of youngsters who are going abroad. So, are they like trying to match up with the Western standards or the internet standards for that matter?
Yeah, so what is, I mean, and now more and more people are getting their livelihood from show business. And it could be something small, it could be, you know, a little TV program, it could be some advertisements, it could be, and they want to look their best, obviously. So they come to us, they do approach us. Thankfully, there are a lot of non-surgical modalities available to us. And people train in them, you know, the aesthetic surgeons train in them. They come forward with what is commonly called fillers and botulinum toxin. So to rejuvenate the face without actually going in for a full surgery. There are younger people who come for, you know, rejuvenation around the eyes. And yeah, breast augmentation, breast reduction surgery. There are people who have liposuction. So yeah, it's literally, you have younger people, and of course now with you know, there is so much happening on the internet. I mean, there's television. There are 150 channels. There's internet is on the whole day. You know, you're all the time Googling, seeing things. The film stars are, you know, I mean, everybody is on the internet. They've got their own little websites and their Twitter handles and their Instagram pictures going on. So, you know, people do get affected by this, and they do come forward and ask for, you know, correction of their minor, the discrepancies that they may have in their faces. Yes.
So, doctor, like, you know, you start doing something and then you like it, and does it also turn into an addiction for some people?
Yes, they do say that it, you know, there are people who come, and I have had personally also, and I'm sure all my colleagues as well, but there are people who come once and then they'll either with the same body part or with another body part, they want, you know, another correction done. And so if the first surgery goes well, then you can sort of, sometimes they get like, you know, okay, my first surgery I got these new assignments, so now let me do something a little bit more and get even more, you know, it's like that. It's like that, yeah.
What are the most common surgery procedures that are happening lately in your practice?
Well, I think rhinoplasties, which is basically nose jobs, and chin implants, breast surgery, tummy tucks. Liposuction is very, very in these days because people do, like I said, they are working hard. They're trying to get rid of their little rolls and things like that. And when they find that all the exercise and hard work and the dieting that they're putting in is not working, then they do take the help of liposuction to get rid of, certain fat rolls in the body. But what is unfortunate is that, people think it is a way to lose weight, which it is not.
True.
So here's another myth that I would like to dispel. People think that I can eat and drink and be merry. And, when whatever little weight I put on, I'll just go to the plastic surgeon and ask him to do liposuction. And I've had some real heavy weights walking into my office. They come, they walk in and say, "Baba, abhi ye charbi nikalne ka hai," like it's, just put in a pipe and suck it all out kind of thing. So it doesn't happen that way. There are certain risks associated with it. Especially when you want to take it beyond a certain point. You might need blood transfusions, you might need to go to the ICU. You should be aware of all these things before you make a request like, take out my fat, liposuction kind of thing. Yeah, but I think nose surgery, breast surgery, liposuction, tummy tucks, and now with the advent of non-surgical things like Botox and fillers, while our aesthetic surgeons take great pains to be educated and trained by the best in the world, but there are so many. I mean, you go to your local salon and there'll be somebody sitting there with a filler and a Botox in their hand waiting to put it onto your face. So, and there are many people from other specialties. I mean, there are dentists, there are ENT surgeons, ophthalmic surgeons. Every specialty thinks that it is their sort of birthright to, attend one little workshop and then they feel that they can handle it. But that is not the case, You have to be very, very careful when you are getting something done to your body, whether it is a small little amount of filler that is going in, or whether it is botulinum toxin, or whether it is a little liposuction, whatever it might be, you have to be treated by somebody who is well trained and who is a member of a good association like ours, and somebody, and I don't think that most trained people who are quite confident would mind if you were to turn around and ask them that, I don't could you show me some of your work, because most of us would not mind doing that. So you must go to a person who is completely trained, well educated, well qualified, and has received training in what you are seeking.
So would that be the simple way to choose a personal surgeon? Because a person who's wanting a surgery, what are
Absolutely.
approach and decide, okay, this is the cosmetic surgeon I want to go and get my surgery done?
Absolutely. So, for example, in the Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons, we do not take non-plastic surgeons. There are plenty of people who are doing cosmetic surgery without being fully qualified to do it. And that is most unfortunate and it is dangerous. So, if a member, if a person comes to an association and says that, okay, is this person a member of your association? Then obviously you're at least sure that you've chosen somebody who's well qualified and trained. And our association now has a website where you can actually choose to go to a qualified plastic surgeon close to your house, so that, okay, you may feel that I don't want to travel 25 kilometers to go there. Let me go to this website. So you tap on Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons and you get a plastic surgeon who's close to your house, so that you're going to somebody who's qualified and trained.
How safe is cosmetic surgery?
Oh, cosmetic surgery is very safe because it's as safe as any other surgery, I would say, because for one thing, we always, even if you're doing a small procedure, everybody has to have the basic investigations done to make sure that they are able to that the body would be able to withstand the surgery. That is one thing. But when you when you look at it, essentially you are dealing with uh, body parts which are far away from some of the vital organs. So that is another thing. But of course, you could always have blood loss and things like that if if something goes wrong. But it is as safe as any other specialty. If you have to have a bone fixed, or if you have to have some ENT surgery or some ear surgery, or but it's not as dangerous as, let's say, neurosurgery or cardiac surgery or something where your life is in danger. Aesthetic surgery is very safe. The most hospitals, even smaller ones, are well equipped with monitoring systems where you are being monitored literally from every second, as to how much anesthesia you're receiving, how much oxygen is going in, how much carbon dioxide is coming out, what is your heart rate, what is your blood pressure. Everything is being monitored every second. So it's very safe. It is very, very safe. And I encourage people that if you have this thought in your head that I would like to modify this, or you think about some body part more than twice a week, go to a plastic surgeon, go to a qualified aesthetic surgeon and get an opinion. You don't have to have the surgery, but get an opinion as to what are the options, are they safe, where are the scars going to be, how long is my downtime. All these things will be sorted out.
Many a times, doctor, we expect something and then the surgery is done, and it doesn't turn up to your expectation. So can it
Yeah.
fix?
So I think that would generally happen when there has not been enough of a discussion between the patient and the doctor before the surgery. So I think that an aesthetic surgeon would at least have 2 consultations, sometimes even 3, with a prospective patient, and go through the procedure, go through the uh, whatever is going to happen to you when you enter the hospital, on the operation table, what is your downtime, how many days in the hospital, how many days of rest at home, how many days away from work, how many days away from exercise. All of these things are generally discussed, and then the patient is sent off home, and then they will be told, okay, if there are any further queries, please come back to me. So if that little discussion has not happened, then that is the thing which leads to all this unhappiness and sometimes, like I said, litigation. But having said that, if there are unfortunate accidents do occur, and sometimes you can land up, in spite of a lot of effort on the part of the surgeon and trying to explain to a patient, you may still land up with a patient who mistakes what you're trying to say, and then they'll end up and they're unhappy. Yes, of course, it is possible. Largely it would be possible to do something about the mishap. We are assuming, of course, that it's not like liposuction done and the skin is completely gone, got burnt out, or a tummy tuck is done and there is a massive hemorrhage under the skin. So, I mean, there are certain things which are beyond our control, but most things, yes, it is possible to try and fix it, like you said. Yeah.
What is the common most thing that you hear from your patients, and you're like, this is a myth? Like constantly, you keep hearing this from your patients, and you're like, this is just a myth.
Yeah. The commonest thing is, but doctor, plastic surgery का तो scar नहीं होना चाहिए. That is commonest. I mean, plastic surgery में कहाँ scar होता है? अरे मैंने इसको देखा है, उसको देखा है, ये इतना फिल्म स्टार सब कराते हैं, उनके तो कुछ scars नहीं दिखते हैं. So this is the commonest myth that I would like to dispel, that there are going to be scars. We will conceal them for you, and we will make sure that they are least visible, but scars will be there.
Also, doctor, when one does a surgery, obviously with time things change. On regular basis, we keep changing. Does one have to do certain surgeries on regular intervals to maintain the procedure or anything like that?
No, it's not. It's not that way. But suppose there is somebody who comes and has, let's say, a tummy tuck, and then they put on a lot of weight. If they put on a lot of weight, obviously the things are going to change wherever the surgery has occurred. So, um, by and large, we tell people that please maintain more or less the weight, especially if you're going in for some body contouring or facial contouring surgery. Then you have to try and maintain the weight that you have at the time of the surgery, so that the results of the surgery will be well maintained also. However, of course, there is aging to be accounted for. So if I have a facelift at 55 or 60, I cannot expect that the skin would be the same at 75 or so, So yeah, and then there is this thing about breast implants that that they need to be changed every 10 or 15 years. I think that's probably some marketing gimmick by the implant companies, because we all see patients whom we've operated more than 15 and 20 years ago. And as long as there is no issue with the implant, we ask them to continue with the implant. So yeah, that's it basically. Yeah.
So I also have to tell the viewers that though you love this field and you've been practicing since so long, there's also a time when you leave this world of glamour and go to the interiors of India and Africa and conduct free camps. Or
Yeah. Yeah.
since when are you doing?
Yeah.
What motivated you to do this?
So I started this in '89 in my mother's hometown. That's in Maharashtra, in a place called Yavatmal. And I started it because there was no plastic surgeon available for miles around, all the way 400 kilometers. Nagpur was the closest plastic surgeon that day. So I used to get adults, 25, 30, 40-year-old people with cleft lips, with the lip torn and palate torn and with burns, debilitating scars of burns. And so I just got, and they have no access, they have no money, and even if they had the money, they have no access. There is nobody to do the surgery for them. So when I went there and I saw this absolutely pitiable condition of these people, that is what started me off. And actually, the first time I went there, I went there because I had just started practice, and I said that I'll go there, I'll do a few cases. I mean, my cousin who stays there was saying that we'll do a plastic surgery camp. And I went there, and I had over 600 people waiting to be examined by me. And of those 600, which took almost 3 days to see, I had 250 people who needed plastic surgery. And I had gone there for 4 or 5 days, and I said, I can't possibly do this. I'll come back. So I went there, and then it just goes on. There's no end to it. So when I have friends in Kenya who, when they heard of this work, they said, surely we can do the same thing. And I found their condition to be equally, if not worse off, I mean, in Kenya, the medical services are much less than what we have over here. So I started doing that once a year, and then I was doing this once or twice a year. So it's gone on. Yeah, it's gone on.
Well, thank you, doctor, for doing something like this, because this is the only way you professionals can give it back to the society. And what better tithing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think of the time when I was training, and I think that as fees, and of course now it's lakhs and lakhs of rupees now, but my vintage of people paid 200, 300 rupees for 600 for 6 months of training in our medical colleges. So, and we were heavily subsidized by the government and the municipal corporation. So surely we deserve to. I mean, they deserve something back from us.
So thank you on behalf of all those people. I'm sure if today they all were here on Chitter Chatter, they would have loved to thank you. And that's something that I would also like to tell young professionals, young doctors out there that, please help the society as much as you all can, just like doctor has been helping in spite of being in this beautiful glamour.
It is, yes, yes, yes. It gives you a different kind of joy, but it does.
So, doctor, I have asked you a lot of questions, but there are a lot of questions coming here too. So I'll try to get a few.
Sure.
And there were a lot of hearts flowing in for you here. And
Oh.
So and best honest person, the best doctor.
Go
So
for
those
that.
compliments I'm sure you hear on regular, but they're flowing in here also on our chitter chatter. Also, people want to know where can they come for consultation for you. If they want to get consulted by you, where can they come?
Oh, well, I am personally attached to Breach Candy, to Hinduja, to Saifi, and to the H.N. Reliance Foundation Hospital. But as I said, that we are in an association, the Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons, and we have a website, www.arpsaesthetic.com, and so if they log on to that, they'll be able to find somebody who's close to them.
So there are people saying very informative session and it was pleasant meeting you. Also, there's a question for you. If you could fix one thing about yourself, what would it be?
About myself. I wouldn't actually. I wouldn't because uh, yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, it's also a question of the mind, really. What there, it has to bother you enough. You should be thinking of something at least, like I say, twice a week. So when patients come to me and they ask me that should I do the surgery, and this is what I tell them. I say that, do you think of this particular thing at least twice a week? That I wish I could fix it, then fix it. But otherwise, wait for such time as you start thinking of it twice a week at least. Yeah.
Someone is asking, can someone weighing 100 or above can have liposuction?
No, that's what I was saying. That there is a reason why the person is weighing 100 kilos or more. That either there is too much to eat or too little exercise, or there is some medical issue, and that needs to be sorted out before any corrective surgery is done for them. Because if that reason persists, the weight will all come back.
Daswani Jyoti is very informative. Nice to know more and more youngsters are coming forth. Youthmal story was good. Good to know you started when there were not many cosmetic surgeons. And also, there are many more questions, but I'm running out of time because after like exactly 45 minutes, if I don't see this chitter chatter, we will not be able to see it on IGTV. But I'll try to incorporate at least a question or two more.
Okay.
So,
Well, thank you.
yes, doctor, you were saying.
No, I said thank you, Jyoti. Jyoti asked the last question, right?
Yeah, she asked the last.
Yeah.
And also there is okay, the other question that people are asking, if you all have joined in late for the chitter chatter, this chitter chatter is going to be saved on IGTV. So all these questions that you're asking have already been asked, and you all can go on the link and see, and also tag people who want to know more about plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery, aesthetic surgery, because today our chitter chatter was only to advocate this further. Also, doctor, thank you so much for your time. And
My pleasure.
our questions, our doubts, and bust our myths. It was a pleasure having you on this chitter chatter, and we're looking forward for many more chit chats with you because I'm sure after this chitter chatter, I'm going to have a lot of questions more flowing in.
More than welcome to send them to me whenever. I mean, I'll answer each and every one of them.
Thank you, doctor, and wish you again a very happy World
Thanks a
Day.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.